if I'm being effective in my intimacy with my mate, with my wife, then I'm also being very mindful that what I'm saying is about creating connection. So a lot of times couples will spend time together, and as soon as they go on a date or as soon as they say we're going out, they get in the car and they begin to talk about the problems. And they begin to focus on the issues. And all of a sudden the conversation that should be quality, intimate time becomes just dialogue, just talking, just not realizing their mouth is loaded with distractions that tear at intimacy. So they're talking about, who they don't like on the job or what someone said. And that time has to be carved out the way you would carve out time in prayer with God. Take the time to say, okay, during this time, we're not talking about any bills. That was something we established real early. Because the same way, when you go into worship, it's not time for you to be, on your cell phone and being distracted and, trying to look at what so-and-so is wearing. It's time for you to think about the goodness of the Lord.
Right, and focus on everything that He's done for you.
And then begin to express and extol and appreciate. And likewise, in the relationship, if you carve out and sanctify those moments to say, this is just us.
The reality is that a lot of people have a hard time creating healthy relationships because they are not healthy. So whether they are not emotionally healthy, or whether they are not spiritually healthy, or whether they are not psychologically healthy. So we wanted to talk about, because a lot of times people in relationships start to look at the other person, and they start looking at each other and they start trying to figure out what's your deal. Why can't you get yourself together? Y'all don't know what I'm talking about? It's like you start figuring, you fixate on the other person in the relationship, and you begin to start to struggle with the things that they are not doing that you prefer, or the things that they're not doing that you agree with, or the things they're just not doing in the way you would function. And what we really wanted to share and get everyone's heart elevated to is where you stop looking at the spouse or the circles, those on your circle, and begin to look at yourself. Because most of us are unhealthy in at least one of those areas, either emotionally unhealthy, spiritually unhealthy, or psychologically unhealthy. So you can have someone who is spiritually healthy, so they got a good worship, awesome praise, know some scripture, have a nice life with Christ, but emotionally unhealthy. So soon as some stress comes, the baby in them comes out. You understand what I'm saying? Where the baby begins to come out, or when stress and problems come, because they are emotionally unhealthy, they handle things the wrong way. They don't handle things with the wisdom of their worship. They handle it from their emotion. And all of us have areas that we need to develop, either emotionally, psychologically, and or spiritually. And we are so busy fixating on the need for those in our circles to develop, we don't work on ourselves enough and self-examine and really get better.
So talk to that person out there today who is in the dark and they don't see a way out, and maybe the husband is not as optimistic and positive as you are, and they're both stuck in the dark. What would you say to that person?
First, they need to get that book,
okay.
Love and Happiness, and that's one key, and really try to speak with the individual you love and work backwards. One of the things I do when couples are in distress is I get them to start seeing vision. So one of the first things I do is to say, okay, do you want your marriage to work? And usually they say yes. I've had a few times where one says no or one says I don't know. And when they both say I do, then I say this: if you plan to be a doctor, then you cannot start hating biology. You're going to have to start liking the things that require the end result, which is to be a medical doctor.
Right.
So if you want your marriage to be happy, now we have to start working on what the things that take the air out of the relationship. And sometimes I'll say, set those apart, sanctify them.
Right.
You know, don't talk about nothing taboo when you go on a date.
No
Don't talk
bills,
about
no
any
kids.
of your
Oh,
triggers.
That's good.
Nothing.
That's good.
Leave the triggers
Yeah.
off the table.
Right.
Anything I call minefields
Yeah.
that
And
you
just-
step on
Right.
unknowingly that
Rediscover
blows up.
why you love that person in
That's
the first
right.
place.
Give yourself
Absolutely.
a positive.
Yeah,
and I'll give you this before I just end. One of the things I try to tell them, it's like credit. If you've got bad credit, it doesn't go away.
Right.
You have to start developing positive credit lines.
That's right.
To make your score develop. It doesn't mean the bad went away. So you now need to do some positive things together
That's
to
good.
just kind of feel like, okay, we'll be okay.
Want your relationship to go from bad to good to great, or great to greater? Get our Finding Each Other's Frequency Relationship Masterclass. Our online course covers secrets to creating your happily ever after, with proven tools, tactics, techniques that'll make your relationship better within 30 days. After over 20 years of counsel and relationship coaching, Doctors Vandy and Barbara Colter have put together the keys to improve communication, intimacy, alleviate resentment, anger, and most importantly, win. You can do our online 3-step course in the privacy of your own home or on your smart device with that special someone and become an unofficial relationship expert. You deserve to be happy, so you owe it to yourself, your mate, your children, and your relationship. Log on to loveandhappiness.tv today for more information. Remember, no one gets their happily ever after. They create their happily ever after. Create yours today.
It's so unfortunate when we miss, especially those who are single, when we miss an opportunity to grow before it's time to go. A lot of people have already went, but they have not grown before they went. They went forth into covenant, but they have not really grown emotionally, spiritually, or psychologically to allow that covenant to be everything it can be, and you thought love was enough. And love is not enough. Love is not enough. There was a song, What's Love Got to Do with It? They ain't never lied.
That's right.
Love is not enough.
That's right.
And if anybody in here is honest, you know, if you're willing to just wave at me, have you ever left somebody you loved? Wave at me. You loved them while you was leaving. You was like, I just got to go. I still love you, but you're driving me nuts. I got to get out of here. And you discovered something that, you know, you didn't know because you thought love would be enough. You know, we can live off love. You ever heard that lie from the pit? It's a lie from the pit. You can't live off love. I can live if you pay the bills. I can live if you get a job. I can live if you stay consistent and keep a job, but can't live off love.
What I think that relationships need is communication. It's key. It's paramount to be able to express the way you feel, what you're thinking to your partner. If you can't communicate, well, then you don't have a relationship. You should be able to tell the person you love and trust what's going on inside of you. So it's powerful. You can't be in any relationship, whether it's business or pleasure, without expression, being able to express who you are, your essence. So communication is key. It's paramount to any healthy relationship. One of the keys to repair damaged communication is you must uproot all of the negative seeds you've sown in the past through negative seeds of communication. You have to begin to talk differently. You have to begin to think differently and express different points of views in your relationship. You have to let your partner give them the reassurance that you are working on bettering yourself so you can be better in the relationship. So basically to uproot all the negative seeds and start sowing new ones. Start sowing new things in your relationship that's going to make it grow and progress.
Audio Jungle.
If you're not happy in your current relationship state, stop listening to people who are not getting it right and go to people that have a successful relationship. If they have webinars and they're willing to share their wisdom and their secrets and their keys, like, why would you not do that?
It becomes the same thing in intimacy where you have to learn how to anchor yourself in each other. You have to learn how to say, you know what, I'm literally going to make sure that no matter how much we're doing other things, when we get our moments, because sometimes it's not about the journey, it's about the moments.
Right.
And the moments make the journey.
Think about the small things that your mate does, or how she or he pats at your heart and your eye, and you begin to water that.
You know what you should do, but you tend not to do what you should do, and it creates friction, and you actually are like mortgaging your relationship just because you can't think it through. You understand what I'm saying? Folk don't think it through well, and it's not necessarily their fault, because when you're sick, you're sick. You understand? It's unfair to ask someone who is sick to just be well. Okay? And if somebody is psychologically broken, where they can, you ever talk to somebody who could just think the craziest ways, and when you hear them, you're like, what, do you really believe that? You know, you're like, how do you think? You actually think that's okay? Because you could have saved yourself a lot of time, trouble, and problems if you would have identified unhealthy people before you hooked up with them. And then if you hooked up with them, they started making you unhealthy.
That's right.
And you know, y'all can sit here and look sanctified like y'all never did nothing, but there have been things you have done only because you hooked up with unhealthy thinkers or unhealthy spiritual folk or people who were emotionally damaged. You understand? Where you quiet, they screaming, now 5 months later you a screamer.
That's right.
Come on, talk to me. Right? You know, you hook up with them, you a giver, they so cheap, 6 months later, you like, I ain't giving nothing.
Or you think they're from God.
Right? You change
Or
up.
you think they're from God and they're not.
What I'm trying to convey is the necessity that you learn to take people's temperature and see if they sick before you get in covenant with them.
That's right.
Because you know, if you got a contagious disease, you need to be isolated, and you don't need to be, you know, around somebody with some problems. But because we're talking about dynamics that don't show themselves physically, a lot of times you look at the package and you get so hung up on the package. Now real talk, because you know we said we're gonna talk real talk, so you ain't gotta tell your business, but just when I say it, just say I understand. It's so true that you had every intention. Just tell your neighbor he's not talking about you. You had every intention of not fornicating. Tell your neighbor he really ain't talking about me. Tell your neighbor he definitely ain't talking about me right now. Tell your neighbor I know where he going. He is not talking about me. He ain't getting ready to go there. And you need to go through and spiritually rebuke all those spirits that you have produced in your home, because them things are walking around and y'all done kissed and made up, but the spirits are like, thank you for giving us place.
That's right.
And the Bible says not to give place to the devil.
That's right.
Now how do you give place to him? By opening doors to let him into certain things.
That's right.
You start complaining, you ain't nothing, you ain't never gonna be nothing. Nothing showed up.
That's right.
I want to focus in this segment the kingdom laws of relationship. All of us in this room have some family who was divorced. All of us. I'm being presumptuous. Or maybe even you yourself is a victim of divorce. So our relationships are really not isolated. They affect everybody. And when a person goes through a relationship problem, it's not a private issue. It's a family affair. Our relationships must manifest the laws and the lifestyle of our kingdom. In the kingdom of God, there's no divorce.
But to help us understand what God really wants in our marriages, our kingdom marriages, we're going to be talking to a precious couple who have embraced the call to teach the church. So do you feel like even in your marriage, let me get real personal with you, because there is a great chapter on rules of engagement and what happens when your love is under attack, and the enemy would like nothing better than to destroy my marriage and your marriage.
Right.
What do you do? And have you ever been under attack, your marriage?
Absolutely.
Many times. Okay. So what do
Absolutely.
you do when you feel that sort of attack?
Well, because you're looking at me, I'll say this. One of the things I did early on is I created rules of engagement. And what that meant is we had to look at it like a basketball, because I'm a big basketball fan. I said, there are certain things that are out of bounds. And we have to both buy in
Yes.
on the front end.
Yes.
Because in the live moment, so in the rules of engagement, for example, I can't talk about her mother.
No.
My mothers are off. If I say, you sound just like your mother, we are now escalating to...
But she had to tell you that at some point,
Well, no,
right?
she will blow up enough.
You figured it out.
Yes, yes.
I will
Okay.
figure it out.
So basically what he came up with, we have to set rules.
Right.
When we're in the intense moment of fellowship and
That's what my
argument.
wife calls
I
it.
love
An
it.
intense
An
moment of
intense
fellowship.
moment of fellowship, because I love words.
That's
the
it.
good.
I love it.
We don't cross the line.
Yeah.
You can't talk
Can't go
about
out of bounds.
you can't talk about what hurts me and poke jabs.
Okay.
You don't talk about my mother. You don't talk about that and that. And what's your sensitive area? And so then he told me.
Okay.
So if either one of us crossed it on purpose, we know then we were just
And you can
trying
call
to
a foul.
be right.
Okay.
And in a lot of
Love that.
moments, sometimes in the beginning, it'll
want
be
a
like
jab.
it'll be like because it's so hot, and I
Yes.
might say, "Hey, that's out of bounds." I don't care. You know, another thing,
Right.
and another thing, and
Right.
then after we calm down, we say, "Okay, well, now we got to enforce this
Right.
and submit to this," because
Right.
one of the things that I talk about in the book is marriage is an institution, and an institution demands a certain amount of behavior. If I go to any institution, it requires me to behave a certain way.
Right.
In the institution of Christ, it requires a certain behavior.
That's
the
right.
minute I make the marriage greater than my feelings, the minute she makes the marriage greater than her feelings, we position ourselves not to wreck the marriage.
That's right.
Because we hold the marriage in a higher esteem than how we
Vandy,
feel.
that is so good.
No one gets their happily ever after. They create their happily ever after. Log on to loveandhappiness.tv so you can create yours today. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or subscribe to our Love and Happiness YouTube channel. It's for everyone who loves love.
Audio Jungle.
If you're not happy in your current relationship state, stop listening to people who are not getting it right and go to people that have a successful relationship. They have webinars and they're willing to share their wisdom and their secrets and their keys. Like, why would you not do that?
It didn't look like we was coming out. It looked medieval when we was. It was like famine. Where is the water? There is no manna today. It is just our faith. We talk about the just living by faith.
Yes.
I'm going back now, you know, but woo, it was living by faith for real.
was.
And so I would share with her some of the same things I would share with other individuals in relationship to say, hey, this is what you need to do. And to my wife's credit, she trusted me because there was really no point of reference for where we were.
No.
You know, that was
Really
just,
wasn't.
it was like doing the right thing to get the right result. And we did the right thing, which was we held tight. We said, okay,
We're gonna stay in
gonna
love.
make it.
Uh-huh.
So we would do $10 dates
We did. Yes.
where we would just say, okay, so now our budget is $10, and you know, I'm going back obviously when
For a long time.
$10 could do something. You're going to anywhere $10 now, you probably, you know. So you may call it a $25.
But we were creative.
Yes.
Because sometimes we would just make sandwiches and we would go to the beach.
But it's still
and just
in the
sit.
$10 budget.
It was, yes, it was.
Because you have to buy the meat,
Yes, the bread.
bologna, no, I don't know, whatever we made, or a
Whatever
couple
it
of chicken
was.
wings. You know, you fried up some wings or whatever we did. But my point is, you just look at your season and you decide, my season's not going to get the best of me. You know, you decide what I'm dealing with is not going to,
bigger.
going to destroy
Right.
the love that we have. Because if you're not careful, apathy will set in, where you just there's no excitement or passion about being in a relationship, or resentment.
Oh God, that's big.
When women get resentful, it's usually because they're saying, I didn't sign up to be broke.
Right.
I didn't hook up with you to be in this. And some of you watching understand that when you're in a relationship right now, and it's just not looking like what you signed up for. When you said yes, you didn't say yes to this part.
Right.
And that is a very difficult place to be when you know, hey, we're in something right now that this isn't supposed to look like this. This isn't supposed to be like this. So what do you do when what you're seeing is not what you know should be the case?
That's good.
You have to decide within yourself that, you know what, I'm going to keep the main thing, and work backwards from that. So for us, the main thing was, from the very beginning when we got together, I would say, hey, when we're like 100,
Yes.
we have to still be in love.
Holding
and I
hands.
still want to be that couple, even if we were billionaires that are going to a Dunkin' Donut. I don't even like Dunkin' Donuts. No offense, Dunkin' Donuts.
I like Krispy Kremes.
But all I'm saying is, I would see old people getting
Yes.
out, walking in. No
With a
offense,
cup of
no offense,
coffee.
seniors who are very
With a
old.
cup-
Not
yeah.
all of them are doing it, but
No.
it was so sweet. We would see
Holding
a very, very
hands.
old,
Sharing a
75 years
donut,
old,
right.
holding hands, probably holding each other up, walking to Dunkin' Donuts, and we'd
Sharing
be
a
like,
donut.
oh, that's great.
It's gonna be us one day.
Yeah, we want to be that couple that survived not just the test of time, but the test of love, that our love stood through all of those seasons. So I had that instilled early on, that we had a vision. Another thing in our course, shameless plug, that we teach you how to have not just a vision you articulate, but a vision you can execute through tough times. And we had a vision, and the vision was, hey, we got to be happy, So we got to hold on to each other in the dark, when it was dark, and boys, it's like an infomercial. In our book, Love and Happiness: The Secrets to Creating Winning Relationships, there's a chapter called Don't Die in the Dark, because that was the season we were in. So that was an easy write. That just flowed. I wrote that chapter, and it hurt. And we just realized that, you know what, if we're going to walk through this together, then we have a great chance to survive, that our love would survive and thrive through all of that.